watched this and I thought, Tucker Carlson may very well be the next president of the United States. I was watching that. I hate to say it, man. But as I'm watching it, I was like, first, he's very good at the game. I've never doubted that. I've always said Tucker Carlson's been great at this. But now he can take not sole possession, but definitely a large chunk of the moral high ground of, oh, I actually am against war. He's probably not, but just saying, oh, I actually am against war. He's just anti-Semitic. But, he can stake his claim right there when all the other Republicans are scrambling and trying to, like Cruz and Lindsey Graham, of trying to suck Trump's dick, and other ones are kind of, trying to test the water. Say, nope, I'm planting the flag here. I'm against war. These sound bites are going to age very well.
Yeah. So Tucker Carlson, this whole interview. Do you remember that clip of Crossfire back in I don't know 05 or whatever, with Jon Stewart when he gets on the show? And just calls him out to his face. What you're doing right now is bad for America. You're better than this, and I know it. And Tucker can't fight back on him because he knows that John is telling the truth. And that was so clear and evident today in this interview, where it's like, yeah, this entire time Tucker has had all the chops. Like he's always had it. And you said he's just anti-Semitic. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's very hard to know what Tucker Carlson's actual positions are. But I know he's a conservative in this general sense. He's certainly a silver platter rich boy. But I don't know what he actually stands for. So as much as I would not want to see him be the president of the United States, I would be quite interested in seeing him running for president of the United States and seeing what that does to the conservative primary that's coming, hopefully, at some point. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. What do you think, TJ? Would you, if him versus take your field of Republican candidates?
Yeah.
Would he be your favorite?
That's what I was there. That's what flashed before my eyes as I saw this, because his competition would be people like Ted Cruz. He'd eat them alive. He'd destroy them. He'd murder them. And Cruz has nowhere to run. He's going to act just like he acted on the stage during that interview, cowering and running and equivocating, stuff that actually works when you're talking to most media figures who just move on to the next question or who will bow to the outrage. Tucker doesn't have to. He can, and once again, there's nothing worse than I always refer to President Woodrow Wilson as a racist if he was smart. That's President Woodrow Wilson. And the evil that you can get done when you are an actual intelligent racist. That's Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson, he's not going to fall for. He can. You know what? He can present an air of intellectualism to this rabid, disgusting, sociopathic movement, which does terrify me. That's way worse than anything Trump could have done, because he can still do the whole, he does the trolling and, oh, look how based I am. Watch how I'm owning the libs. It's the same shit that they eat alive, and he can, form an actual sentence. That's, that was in the back of my mind watching this. I was like, oh, I hope Tucker Carlson doesn't go into this because he'd be great at it.
It's a lot of the same things we say about JD Vance would also apply to Tucker Carlson, where it would be an actual intelligent person pushing forward the agenda. The only difference I would say is that I don't know how evil Tucker Carlson is. I don't know how much of the Kool-Aid he drinks. You think he's particularly evil?
Oh God.
I think he's I've never got, I'll put it this way. I have always gotten the impression from Tucker Carlson that he's a man who takes great pride in doing his job, and his job has been to be evil. But I don't know if the evil's in his heart in the same way of a Stephen Miller or a JD Vance. Donald Trump, I wouldn't say is evil. He does evil shit all the time. He's just infinitely self-serving, which I think is a different thing than evil. If you were to look at Donald Trump versus Stephen Miller is the devil incarnate. He likes inflicting pain on people for the sake of inflicting pain on people. Donald Trump just likes to serve himself. And I've said this many times, I would always rather have the guy that's always going to serve themselves than the guy who truly wants to hurt other people, because at least I can work with the first guy. And I feel like that's where Tucker Carlson is, or at least more towards that side of the spectrum. But again, I could be wrong, because he's always just played whatever worked for the audience. Like I don't know what his actual positions are on much of anything.
I would lean more. I agree with you that Trump is self-interested more than anything else. I think that Trump could have ended up anywhere, and he picked the lane that he thought was most beneficial to him. I think in his heart, he's almost certainly a racist, but what 80-year-old white guy isn't? So I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. But his special brand of vitriol and pride and resistance to shame has caused him to cause all this damage. Tucker, on the other hand, I would lean more towards evil with Tucker, because Tucker goes out of his way to do stuff he doesn't have. Like he has weird obsessions that only white supremacists have. Talking about Rhodesia and Zimbabwe. That is deep down the rabbit hole of white supremacy. No one's making him do that. Whenever, I don't know if you saw that clip where he talks about segregation, and he says segregation was the worst thing that's ever happened in the world or in the United States, or when he's just makes offhand comments. That's the thing. It's like when he's doing interviews or his show. I don't know if you saw that clip where he talked about India and how India essentially had no culture until the British got there, so they should be happy about the colonization. I mean, it's stuff more than his. And even when he got fired from Fox, like the one principled stance Tucker took, well, he didn't even take the principled stance. Actually, I take that back. He just talked behind everyone's back saying, yeah, this stuff about the election being stolen is obviously bullshit. Trump's a demon. This guy is awful. He's going to tear us all down. And he lied anyway. And then he got kicked off Fox. He had the opportunity to be a normal reporter. He always had it. I mean, he kind of was before at CNBC or MSNBC, sorry. And then, about Bill O'Reilly. I don't know if you ever heard this, but Tucker Carlson, when he was at MSNBC, he had this interview where they asked him about Bill O'Reilly, who was the biggest news broadcaster in the country at the time. And he said, yeah, Bill O'Reilly puts on this show of being this hard scrabble working class guy. That's not who he is. That's just a character he plays. Any hard scrabble working class guy could never end up like Bill O'Reilly. It would create an entirely different personality type. But you fake being someone to make it. I think Tucker didn't have to fake someone. I think he was faking someone at that time when he was at MSNBC. He's like, actually, I'm just gonna drop this all. And he applied for the CIA when he was like 18. They rejected him. Yeah, that's.
I think that I was probably a little bit underestimating the racism, because you're right. He does play
genuine racist.
Genuine racism. Not just the play it up for the crowd stuff, but you can tell there's genuinely deep held beliefs there. I think I might have just not been thinking about it as much because it's so commonplace on the right now. But yeah, you're right. He does have those particular, you study this shit. You've been in debates and back rooms off the show that we know the types of people who bring up these topics, and
yes, exactly.
Every single one of them is a white supremacist, and you're very correct about that. Do we want to get into some clips here?
Oh, hell yes.
All right. So I don't even know what. I don't know which one this is.
All right, let's go. They're all great.
They're all so good. This is the first. I think this is the clip that came out yesterday that teased it. Which, by the way, usually when a clip comes out from an interview where you're teasing something, it's like the best part of the interview. That has not been the case.
No.
It's been fire so far. But anyway, we're gonna play this. You can see it, right?
No,
I
can't. There you go.
I'll zoom in as well.
Okay, here we go.
Memorizing population tables.
Oh, you got to.
I'm looking around, by the way.
I don't know the population
at all.
You got to mute your mic.
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out
I'm
if it was a
saying
good
you
idea
don't
to kill
believe-
General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really
we
believe
are
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
you said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not
at all.
bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's so great, man. That is so great.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
That's exactly what I mean by playing a dirty trick.
Yep.
But also being incredibly good.
Yes.
Because the whole what was the exact population and percent of Shia Muslims? How do you not know this? That's a dirty trick. He researched that. That was a set trap. He had those numbers locked and ready to go. You can tell he's just like 92. I know. It's like it was locked and ready to go for him. And I agree with Ted Cruz here. He doesn't need to know the exact ethnic makeup of Iran to like understand, geopolitical realities of the situation. But it makes him look bad, and it frustrated him. And it's exactly what Tucker did. And he knew if he got him flustered, he'd be able to get him to say shit that they always say, like we, when talking about Israel and America, like Donald Trump has been doing regularly, saying we. But the official position of the U.S. government has been not we. And it has been this very confusing thing that doesn't make any sense. And no reporter out there is holding anyone's feet to the fire to clearly define what the fuck they mean by we. And that was all prepared. If anyone is watching this thinking, oh, what a happy coincidence that like Ted Cruz fell into that hole. Oh no, that was a well-laid trap that was conceived before they sat down in those chairs. And I just have to tip my cap to Tucker Carlson, the combination of preparation and just shameless fucking, I don't even know, that's just a bad faith interview right there, but just nailing it immediately after. It's just, you gotta tip your cap, TJ. That was so impressive.
It was. As someone who's done interviews and everything, you will ask a question and you can predict their answer, even if it's 2 or 3 answers, and then you kind of route your contingencies based upon those answers. And Tucker did his homework. Gotta admit, he did his homework. He was ready, because even if Ted Cruz happened to know there were 92 million people in Iran, good chance he didn't know. Asking him, this is actually what I wrote down the first, is he asked him, hey, what's the ethnic mix of the Iranian population? And the answer Cruz gave was actually a really good one. The answer he said was, it is a Persian nation, predominantly Shia Muslim, but those weren't percentages.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
It's true. It's 100% true, but there are no percentages in there, because why would he know that? Like, who would know the actual? And I guarantee if he happened to know the actual ethnic mix of there, he would have asked another question, like, when were the exact borders drawn on this nation? Like, you could trap him anywhere. Like, somewhere along the line, you would actually get him, and then you get him flustered. And I don't know where that was in the interview. I don't know if Ted Cruz knew it was going to be a hostile interview at that point or not. I don't know if that's, because that's even better. If he did it right off the bat when Ted Cruz wasn't expecting it, because, I mean, Tucker Carlson was in friendly territory, right? And that was kind of crazy. And then he immediately goes into, this is where Tucker Carlson is great at being just a prick, being an asshole, being a terrible person. Like, because Ted Cruz didn't know the exact ethnic mix of Iran, he asked him, he says, you don't know anything about Iran. And he gets to me, and then Ted Cruz acts like a third grader. And no, you don't know anything about Iran. It's like, oh, that's when I knew it was over. That's when I knew, when the best answer you come up with was doing that. And then it was just this funny who's on first type of thing, where they kept going back and forth about this nonsense. And I love that Cruz was trapped when apparently he had made the postulation that the Iranian government is trying to assassinate Donald Trump. That's apparently he had made that proclamation earlier. And Tucker said, you don't actually believe that. You don't think that's true. And he says, well, why do you say that? Because you are saying you don't want the United States actively involved in this war. You just want us to support the war. If they were actually trying to assassinate the president, why wouldn't we? We just let people try to assassinate the president. It was great. It was great. Once again, I hate myself for saying this. I hate it, but it was really great. It was fantastic. But yeah, it was a dirty trick, but I applaud him. We should use more on folks like this.
And that's the thing. While Tucker is again, mastered his craft, and I don't mean that as a compliment to who Tucker is or his body of work. I mean just that he executes this at a high level. It's not actually that hard. Like what he did here, a lot of people have the chops to do what he did here. There is a lot of highly intelligent journalists and media personalities that have interviews with these people that could be doing this, and they are not. Because it's, as you said, it's not like any of this was unexpected. All of this, we spend countless hours thinking and talking about how all of these things are inconsistent and how to break down their arguments into little bitty pieces and blow them up into smithereens, right? It's not that hard. And these guys aren't all that intelligent. The intelligence difference between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz is quite high, if you were to ask me. It wouldn't be that hard to consistently entrap these people like this. But as you said earlier, there seems to be this rooted bias towards institutional positions where you just are supposed to respect them because they're a congressman. Doesn't matter that they are literally fucking assaulting and detaining and arresting sitting congressmen and other state representatives on a consistent basis. The media is still treating them with these kid gloves. And they should all be acting like Tucker Carlson is here. I don't know. Do you think it's only a matter of time? Like, do you think that this is a little bit of a watershed moment?
No, not at all. No.
And I'm not saying suddenly, mainstream reporters are going to be doing exactly what Tucker Carlson is here. But if this has gotten a lot of attention, you don't think that showing the teeth a little bit more in order to try and get clips like this is going to create an incentive for some people to start doing so?
No, I don't think so. This does happen every now and again where someone will get trapped and they'll flounder around a bit. That this isn't the first time this has happened to any politician with any ideology. But the full court press that Tucker just put on Ted Cruz, no, I don't think so. Because the reason they don't do it is because they don't want to lose access. Tucker has enough inroads. This actually, if other people did this, they would just not go on their shows, which they hate. And so, no, I don't think it. Do you think it would?
I think that once the first domino has fallen, the second one is a lot easier to knock over. And again, I don't think I'm necessarily saying it's going to happen, but I think that this makes me a lot more confident that things can, especially with all of the infighting on the right now, specifically about the Iran war, not war thing. And the budget bill. Like I think that they could start eating each other alive. I think it's going to come from the right before it comes from the left, funnily enough. But here's another question before we get. I know you have a clip load up here. What happens to Tucker now? Because that's a big part of this. If he survives, like if he's actually able to entice people to come on his show with this revision of the Crossfire personality, he could get real traction, relevance that he hasn't had since he was booted off Fox News.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's treaded water since then shows a level of tenacity and ability to survive without the access that might make him viable to continue doing this sort of thing. Do you think anyone else will ever go on his show again after this?
Yeah, and because there are some Republicans who are speaking out against this. There is a contingency of Republicans who don't think the war with Iran is a good idea. At least now. I'd like to see what happens once the bombs start dropping. That's going to be what really separates the sheep from the goats on this one. But Tucker, if he's smart, will kind of stay in this lane and say, yeah, I'm against it. apparently Trump said that Tucker Carlson called him to apologize. I don't know if I believe Trump, but according to Tucker, he had talked to Trump the night before he did the interview. So I don't know. I think that he's still this is also why Tucker's great. I hate it because I hate that this shit works, because he does really well in that interview. This is all he did. Well, mainly what he did. He was hey, I'm just asking questions, guys. I'm just asking questions. Well, I'm just asking questions here. And like, it's annoying. It's obnoxious because when people say that, no, you're not. We know that's not what you're doing. But a lot of people are kind of dumb. And Tucker Carlson has that inquisitive, goofy ass voice, and he has a suit, and he's a rich white guy who's been on TV a long time. I can trust what this guy has to say. Sure, he hired a Nazi to write all of his episodes when he was at Fox News, and the Nazi got fired, and he yelled at people for being mad that he hired a Nazi and moved on with the show. We had no moment of national recognition that the #1 watched cable news show in the country was written by a Nazi. No one ever cared about that. So if that didn't topple him, why not? The only thing, like you said, the only thing that did topple him is when he no longer had the venue of Fox News, and he hasn't really been super relevant since. Doing this could at least gain him recognition. I don't know if he wants to get into politics or not. He's never seemed to have the desire to, but yeah, I think that this could definitely raise Tucker's status. I just hope he doesn't use it for more evil than he already has.
All right, what do you got loaded up here, TJ?
Okay, so this is that clip of Tucker Carlson grilling Ted Cruz. We have plenty more, folks. Don't worry. The hits are going to keep on coming.
Thank you very much for watching to the end of this point. Either if you are watching this video on YouTube or you are watching our live stream, which is also on YouTube from 6:30 to 8:30, usually on Thursdays. This one happened to be on Wednesdays. You got to watch every week to know when we're live. And if you do that, if you want to know when, make sure to subscribe so you know when we're going live. And you can be here in the comments like Phoebus, hopefully not getting shit on the whole time. Anyway, TJ, you got any messages for our audience here?
Yes, thank you very much, John. Folks, feel free and please join us twice a week and join us in our never-ending quest to help Iran acquire a nuclear weapon. All praise to the Ayatollah. We will catch you guys next Tuesday. Have a good one. Good game. That was fun.